Well, it had to hurt to wake up at the White House this morning and see this on the front page of USA Today. The big headline above the fold, IRS gave a pass to liberals, referring to one of 3 scandals threatening the administration. And that's just the beginning. When Brian Williams is talking Watergate, Jon Stewart stops covering for you, and even tax cheat Charlie Rangel won't stick up for you, things are not looking good at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
The last time the government was found looking into the phone calls of reporters and using the IRS for political purposes, it was the Nixon era.
Mr. President, when did you find out about the IRS targeting conservative groups?
I first learned about it from the same news reports that I think most people learned about this. I think it was on Friday.
Nobody at the office thought to run that one up the flagpole? You know, I wouldn't be surprised if President Obama learned Osama bin Laden had been killed when he saw himself announcing it on television.
I don't think anyone truly believes that the president has given a sufficient answer for America, much less our press. I think this is just the beginning.
You didn't just hallucinate. I promise that really happened. And you know what, Eric? I want to congratulate the media today and the comedians. Finally, they are seeing what we have been saying for years. Welcome to 2007.
Yeah, no doubt. Of course, it's all on the heels of the AP scandal. They get a little taste of what we've been talking about for a long time. But here's the problem. President Obama has a Chicago-style ring around him. Valerie Jarrett, Eric Holder, Jack Lew, Jay Carney, they lock arms and they form a ring around President Obama so that even if he is calling the shots from within the ring, that ring is shielding him as the blowback comes back to him. But there's a way to break the ring. Remind people about all these scandals. We got to stay on it. Benghazi is huge, guys. I mean, we can talk about AP and IRS all we want. We got to stay on Benghazi, and we will later. But keep reminding people, because in the voting booth, when people think about these scandals and they go to vote in 2014, that's the way to send the message that we're not going to take any of this political elitism crap anymore.
Can't you blame the media, though, on some level, Greg? I mean, the vetting should have happened in 2007, 2008. They wanted to be a part of history. They did not even want to report that he was untested or about his lack of record. So can we blame them for not reporting?
You know that I would never blame the media on anything.
Oh, you never.
No, it's true. What we're seeing really is a therapy session, kind of an intervention for all the media. Remember, they didn't break the IRS story. The story came to them. So I have no sympathy for them now that they've seen, their golden hero fall apart. I will say this. President Obama is a genius. He said that he wanted to end hyperpartisanship. He did. Through his detached corruption, he's united factions as desperate as the Tea Party and the left-wing media are now uniting under saying, this guy's an incompetent boob. When he was talking about Benghazi, and he said there was no there, that now actually applies to him.
Dana?
Well, the headline that you held up, it says IRS targeted liberals. I guess there's not enough room to say the Obama IRS targeted liberals, but they've been governing inside a moon bounce for the last 5 years, and they were so protected from everything. But I got to tell you something. I think the media dropped the ball on this, but don't be fooled. By next week, they'll all be coming back around and trying to help and saying, oh, how responsible. They called for a commission, and everything's going to be fine. And you know what? There was no there. I guarantee it by Tuesday.
It is a little bizarre, though, to see Paul Begala say the Tea Party was right. And I'm wondering, Bob, if you're going to see a split. I mean, Dana says the media will come back around. You also see Democrats who have worked for Clinton start to focus off Benghazi and get on to these other scandals. Do you think that from a political perspective, the Clinton people are saying, let's get off Benghazi, this is great, let's talk about the IRS and shift off her because she's going to be running?
Well, I think there's something to that. I mean, if I were in that group, I probably would try to do that. But I want to say 2 things. Greg said that Obama was a genius and then went on to say in a pejorative way what it was. But what Dana said is important here. He is very good at coming out of these things. I would not count him out. I think that this guy is a fantastic communicator. He hasn't communicated things he needs to communicate. But here's a couple of things to say. On Benghazi, I think it is getting. I understand 4 people died. I don't think it's a big scandal there. On the AP ought to be brought in front of the Justice Department for breaking the Espionage Act by leaking that information, and whoever in the administration gave it to him ought to be arrested as well. And I think on the IRS, that's the easy one. That is just terrible, horrible, ridiculous scandal, and it should be dealt with. But I think the other two, when you keep saying these are all scandals, the AP thing is not anywhere near a scandal for me.
Well, since we have time, can I ask you, though, why do you think he's such a fantastic communicator? And let me give you a couple of examples. On the Benghazi piece, because they weren't transparent at the beginning, they have dealt with a 9-month-long process, and now the media is giving birth to the story. On the second one, on the IRS piece, so no one told the president until Friday that this was happening, even though Jay Carney says that the White House was notified 2 weeks ago. And then the president put out a very strong statement, but only after the media coverage, 5 days later. His statement's very strong. Just because he can say a sentence well, I don't think that makes them great communicators. I think they've actually proven to be very bad at it.
Well, maybe from the standpoint of managing the government, but in terms of a campaign, this guy came from behind and won re-election in a year that he never should have done it. If he hadn't been such a good candidate, and frankly, if the Republicans had such a bad candidate, he should not have been re-elected by every historical marker we've ever seen. He should have been beaten.
Can I make a point, too, about you brought up the Tea Party. The Tea Party did something that was fairly brave and mocked. They spoke truth to power. I mean, one of the most powerful, likable presidents in the country, and they spoke truth to him. This is the fantasy of every left-wing group, to be the target of the IRS, or to be the target of a government, because it's incredibly romantic. Occupy Wall Street would have loved for this to happen. This is what they make movies out of. In a weird way, the Tea Party is the modern Black Panthers. So maybe the media should have listened. Maybe the media should be apologizing to the Tea Party. Maybe Robert Redford should make a movie about the Tea Party, because they truly are the revolutionaries. They're the ones who spoke truth to power, and they got persecuted.
Right.
That's
right.
That's the goal.
Can I just
That's
say,
the goal.
You said that he is a good campaigner, and a good communicator. But the reason he was such a good communicator is everything that he said, the media ran with. I mean, they printed every story. They didn't print select stories, and they carried his water. So it was easy for him to be a good campaigner. And think about this. He was such a good campaigner, he wasn't doing his job. And that's the crux of every single one of these scandals.
You're indicting the entire media in that.
Okay,
the Wall Street
there are
Journal
some reporters, I will say, that have done excellent work. Some at CBS, some at the Wall Street Journal, some at other news outlets. Absolutely. But the bulk of the media, Bob, bought into this entire thing. They didn't report that he wasn't tested,
well, like
that he didn't have experience. Hope and change.
Well, and so it took 2 or 3 years for them to. They all bought into the war in Iraq too, and then they backed off after 3 years. It's they buy into things. This media is not exactly what you call independently minded.
And we're buying into it right now, because the real story here is the Benghazi terror attacks. Because it's the real, because 4 Americans were dead, and there were a lot of questions that still need answering. Who called for the stand-down order? Who actually changed the talking points? And why both those questions need to be answered. This AP stuff, you're right. It's all smoke and mirrors right now. They've got him covered. In the AP stuff, Carney says, oh, President Obama, and he himself said he didn't know until he heard about it via news outlets. The IRS story, same thing. It's an isolated case. A couple low-level IRS agents in Cincinnati, maybe only 2.
That's impossible.
No, it runs directly to the IRS in Washington, D.C.
Of course it does. But the point is they've got President Obama shielded on those 2, but they don't have him shielded on Benghazi.
I tell you what, though, if I were Rush Limbaugh after seeing Jon Stewart, I would buy a lottery ticket today.
Speaking of Jon Stewart, we have to get this sound in. Hold on.
Because this is his lucky day.